the stand. Now he runs. He produces a magic print. He pulls out another one. This is incredible. This is ridiculous. This is 15 out of 10 on the incredible meter. What a player. What an entertainer. Give him the medal. Give him the Dally M medal.
Hello, footy fans, and welcome back to the Chip and Chase podcast. It is Sunday, so you know what that means. We're going to be doing our previews of the two Sunday matches coming up today. Of course, starting with the Sea Eagles and the Roosters, followed up by the Dolphins and the Dragons. So we're not going to spend too much time. We're just going to get straight into it, starting with that first match, taking place 4:05 p.m. at Four Pines Park in Sydney. So it is a Manly home game, this one. So as we've said before, if you haven't already heard, we aren't doing the Team List Tuesdays anymore. We're just going to go through in these previews and sort of go through the ins and outs because, you know, as I've said, a lot of the time the teams aren't too much, like they don't change too much. So there's no point doing an entire video where I go through and name the exact same teams week in, week out. So we're just throwing them into our previews nowadays and just going through, you know, the sort of little ins and outs of each team every week. So for Manly in this one, there is the one sort of change. Jason Saab is out with the hamstring injury, I believe it was. He's expected to miss a few weeks with that one. And the new recruit, Tommy Talau from the Tigers, he has come in to start on the wing for the Manly Sea Eagles. No further changes to their team, the bench, the forward pack, everything's the exact same for that one. It's just the Tommy Talau and Jason Saab switch. While for the Roosters, we get Dominic Young in to take his first game and make his debut for the Roosters. Of course, he missed the Vegas game clash against them after, you know, a pretty gnarly, you know, little head knock, I suppose, in the preseason. So he gets to take his place on the wing in this one. We are also without Spencer Leniu, who of course is missing 8 weeks now with the racial abuse incident, which, you know, we won't touch on too much further, but yeah, not even expected. He will miss 8 weeks, but he's replaced by Jared Warrior-Hargreaves, who returns from suspension. So that's just a straight swap there. While Dominic Young replaces Junior Ponga in this one, who was named in the reserves. So those are the only sort of changes for these two teams. So if we move into how I sort of see this one playing out, I have tipped the Roosters in this one, but definitely a matchup that I'm not confident in at all. I thought both teams showed a lot of ability and showed essentially their best footy in the Vegas game clashes. You know, Manly Sea Eagles missed the 8 last year and they came back and smashed the Rabbitohs in that Vegas game clash. So they're looking really, really powerful at the moment. I've tipped the Roosters just because, you know, they did make the 8. I think they've got that sort of prowess. They're just always a premier team in the NRL. But yeah, definitely not confident in that pick whatsoever. It could definitely go the way of the Manly Sea Eagles in this one. But I guess leading on from that, we can go straight into the bets. As I said, I've tipped the Roosters, and that is the first leg of my multi for this one. I've just got Roosters winning head-to-head. It's not bad odds because it is a very, you know, an expected close game. No one really sort of knows which way this one's going to go. So that's the first leg of the multi. I've got Tolatau Kula, the Manly centre, scoring a try in this one. He looked really damaging in the first week. Just such a hard man to handle, so fast. So I see him sort of maybe crossing in this one. And I've got the match going over 41.5 total match points. I just think these teams are such premium attacking teams in the NRL. And due to that fact, I just see this one, going over that 41.5 total match points. I think, another really entertaining game. We've been blessed this round. You know, round one had a few bludgers. Of course, the Vegas games were a massive highlight, but there were a few sort of scrappy affairs mixed in round one, while round two has been really, really entertaining footy across the entire round. So I'm very excited for this game. I do think with these two teams being such attacking weapons, they've got threats all across the board. I see this one going over that 41.5 total match points. But at the same time, maybe because they are, premium teams, they're going to emphasise defence and try and keep it low scoring. I just don't think you can stop people like James Tedesco and Tom Trbojevic. They're just too damaging, and you can emphasise defence, but how do you stop players like that? And, you know, that's a little segue, I suppose, into my matchup for this one. It has to be the two fullbacks. Like, they are still probably the two best fullbacks in our league. Everybody's sort of putting their name up there. You've got your Latrell Mitchells, you've got Reece Walsh, who has been absolutely killing it so far. Dylan Edwards, Clint Gutherson. Like, there are some amazing fullbacks in our league, but when Tom Trbojevic is fit and healthy, it's hard to argue that he's probably the best fullback and if not player in the NRL. And James Tedesco has just been consistently one of, if not the best, for a long, long period of time. So that is definitely my matchup in this one. I'm really excited to see how these two fullbacks match up against each other. I want to see them both of them have a really good game. Oh, sorry. We will go back a little bit to the bet. The odds on that one, by the way, are $8.50. So if you, at the time of placing the multi, they were $8.50 for that one. So if you put $1 on that and the bet got up, or three legs got up, you'd win $8.50 back for your $1. Keep in mind, all my bets are through Sportsbet. I'm not affiliated with Sportsbet in any way. They are just the agency I choose to bet with. And keep in mind, if you're following any of my bets, you're jumping on anything that I advise you guys to jump on. It's not so much advice, it's just things that I'm putting out there that I'm going to jump on. If you guys want to ride along that with me, you're more than welcome to. I'm not advising you. I'm not an expert by any means. I'm not saying these will get up. And if they don't, you can't blame me. But yeah, just make sure we're gambling responsibly. I'll say every single preview, don't bet what you can't afford to lose, guys, because with gambling, you are going to lose more than you win. So it's just meant to be a bit of fun with that one. But yeah, if you're placing, as I said, odds on that one, $8.50. You put $1 on that and you win $8.50 back for the dollar. So it's definitely not my my best multi, not my most out there, I suppose, multi. It's a really tough game to pick, this one. It's more so, you know, if I didn't bet on this one, I probably wouldn't have, but you know, I just do it for a bit of content, realistically. But I'm just more excited for the clash of this one. Two really exciting teams. But yeah, so that's the odds. I'll go back into that matchup, I suppose, now. But yeah, Tom Trbojevic, James Tedesco, really excited to see these guys go at it. I've got Teddy in the Supercoach team, so I'm hoping he has a blinder and maybe gets the chocolates over Trbojevic, who I don't own, and a lot of people do. So I'm quite worried about him from a Supercoach perspective. But yeah, I just think we're in for a fantastic clash here, and we've been as I said, we've been treated so well this round. So if it turns out to be a bludger, I mean, we're probably due one, but with these two teams, I just can't see it being a bludger. They're such good teams, and I'm so excited for this clash. But we won't spend too much longer on that one. So those are my tips, my predictions, and my matchups for that one. Oh, and the bets, of course. Yeah, I just think, I don't know, across the board, it's almost like for like across the board. I don't know how this one's going to play out. As I said, I'm just really excited to see how it does. But we will move on to the next game of the round, which, of course, is the Dolphins and the Dragons, taking place 6:15 p.m. at KO Stadium in Redcliffe. So it is a Dolphins home game. Now, I've actually tipped the Dragons for this one. I'm not sure what the bookies have actually got this one marked at. Give me a quick look on that one. Okay, yeah, so the Sportsbet have actually got the Dragons as favourites, $1.81 to $2.04. So it's quite a close matchup. It's definitely not out and out, really, favourites, but they are the favourites leading into this one. I just think, as we know last week, Dolphins did not perform. Wayne Bennett has come out with some mass changes in this one, which we will get to in just a second. I don't know if they're necessary. We'll have to see how the game plays out to see if he was right in doing them, but I'm not going to doubt the master coach. But the Dragons, was really impressed with them in week one, and just as I said, as I have been throughout the preseason for this one, a team a lot of people, including myself, tipped for the wooden spoon, and yet I've seen them perform so far, and I've been really, really impressed with them. But we will move into the ins and outs. So starting with the Dolphins, the outs for this one, Connolly Lemuelu is out injured. I believe it was a knee. He's looking to miss a few weeks there. Ray Stone is out with a concussion, so hopefully just the 1 week he misses. And Shauna O'Sullivan has been dropped, as well as Tessie New. So the replacements for that, we have Jake Averillo coming in at centre to replace Tessie New, making his Dolphins debut in this one. Exciting to see him get a run. There's been an article come out about him recently just saying that the Dolphins weren't even expecting to land his signature. They thought they'd just ask and see how it goes, and apparently all it took was one talk to Wayne Bennett talk with Wayne Bennett for Averillo to be convinced to come over to the Dolphins. That's exciting stuff for them. You want that in a player at your club, just believing and backing the vision there. So that's really cool from him. Isaiah Katoa, the young gun, comes in to replace Sean O'Sullivan at halfback, who as I said, has been dropped, Sean O'Sullivan. So yeah, Katoa comes in at halfback to replace him. Max Plath has come in to start at lock for Ray Stone, who, as I said, is out with concussion. So Plath was on the bench. He's now been replaced on the bench by Jared Wallace, who comes in for the game here. Missed last week, just named in there. I think he might have been 18th man by the end of it. And the last change is that Ewan Aitken, who also missed the first week, just not making the squad, has been named at second row to replace Connolly Lemuelu. So once again, he's gone back and forth between the centres and second row in the last few seasons, Ewan Aitken, but great player no matter where you put him. So really cool to see him in there for the Dolphins. I'm excited to see how these changes line up. I think it's a better side across the board, realistically. Maybe, I'd like Max Plath. He's a good little player, but maybe you'd still want Lemuelu at second row and you'd still want Ray Stone at lock, but definitely not not bad changes across the board for the Dolphins. Meanwhile, for the Dragons, we've had a couple of changes as well, just, a few things that it came into account. Viliami Fafita, who made his debut for the Dragons last week and in the NRL, So congratulations to him for that. He has dropped out. He is now 18th man for this one. Meanwhile, Ben Murdoch-Masila, who also came in as a sort of late inclusion for the Dragons last week, he's out of the team completely. Just, they've culled their reserves now, so they've only got Viliami Fafita and Christian Tuipulotu as the last replacements on their reserves list. But yeah, Ben Murdoch-Masila makes way, and that is because Blake Laurie, who was a late scratching last week, has returned. He's starting at front row, number 10 in this one. And the new recruit, or old recruit, if you will, a Dragons player beforehand, Luciano Leilua, has come back from his suspension and makes his return to the Dragons in this one, named on the interchange jersey 17. So those are the only changes for the Dragons. Not too much to note, but definitely probably a stronger side going into this one. And they performed so well in the round one clash that if they're upgrading now, if they're going to be even better, then who knows what they can come out with this one. But that means also, sort of just changed around the park. Jack DeBellin, who played prop last week, is now back at lock. Tom Eisenhuth, who played lock last week, is back at second row. And Raymond Faitala-Mariner, who came on and started at second row last week and performed really, really well, he's on the bench in jersey 16. So probably their best side, realistically, on paper here, the Dragons. And yeah, I'm really excited to sort of see how they go. As I said, really impressed with how they've been this season so far and this preseason, everything. So I'm really excited for this game as well. Again, could be a bludger. Who knows? As I said, we are sort of due one. But yeah, I think Wayne Bennett's going to have these Dolphins boys up for it. And Shane Flanagan, he evidently does have these Dragons boys up for the season. And at least for the early rounds of the season, I think they'll perform really well. So that's why I have tipped the Dragons in this one. Not my most confident, but as I said, I've really liked what I've seen from them, and I didn't like what I saw from the Dolphins last week. And just off that fact, you can only sort of tip with what you know. That's why I've tipped the Dragons in this one. In terms of matchups, there's a lot across the board in this one. Like I want to go to the fullbacks again: Tyrell Sloan, Hamiso, Tabuai Fido. Both, I believe, when they played last year, I think it was Sloan who broke away and just gassed the hammer, and I love that. I love these two just dynamic, as fast as anything fullbacks, and I want to see them match up well against each other. But you can go anywhere across the board in this one. I like the centre duels, Averillo and Farnworth against Sully and Bird. I like Zach Lomax after what he achieved last week up against Jermaine Asako. I'm not even sure if they will match up against each other, but two wingers regardless. So as I said, there's a lot of matchups across the board, but I am going to have to single out the fullbacks, just absolute dynamos, and I really want to see them do exactly what they did last year, because it was so entertaining to watch that, and just I want to see them in open space and just go one-on-one like they did. So that's my matchup. Sloan and the Hammer are my matchups for that one. In terms of how I see the game playing out, it's sort of a toss of the coin job. You don't really know where it's going to be played. The Dragons were so dynamic and they played with so much energy last week. They sort of went really hard through the forwards, and I think they might continue to do that. Of course, my main crush of this season, Jaden Sewer, I'm tipping him for a big one. But as I said, Wayne Bennett's got to have this Dolphins team up for it, and they've got such a strong team and a really strong forward pack as well. I don't think they're going to fold over in the middle. So I don't know where this one's going to be won for either team, but we'll have to find out. That I'm sure there's game plans in place for both teams to get away with the chockies in this one. I just happen to have picked the Dragons for it. So we will move on to our bets for this game. Once again, I have just one of the legs of this multi is just Dragons as a head-to-head winner. As I said, not bad value on that earlier. I think it was $1.81. It might have been less when I jumped on it. So just Dragons to win is one leg of this multi. I've got Jack Bird as an anytime try scorer. I thought he looked very threatening in that first game, and I see him crossing over for a try in this one. So him as an anytime try scorer, I like that leg. It's a little bit of value there too. He's not the most prolific try scorer, Jack Bird. So decent odds on that. And I've got the match going under 45.5 total match points. I just think, they're not the most attacking teams. They can be exciting and they can be electric. But if this is going to be a forward battle and, Wayne Bennett's going to want to emphasise defence, and we know Shane Flanagan's coaching style of the Sharkies, and just on round one with the Dragons, he's going to emphasise that defence as well. So it could be quite a gritty affair, which makes me pretty confident that the game will go under that 45.5 total match points. So those are my legs for that one. I'll just rattle them off again. That is St George head-to-head, Jack Bird as an anytime try scorer, and under 45.5 total match points. And the odds of that one come to a nice round $10, at least when I place the bet. That could be different now. But yeah, once again, so that means if you're placing $1 on this bet and you win, you get $10 back to the dollar. So if you place 10, you get $100 back if you win. Keep in mind, these are just, tips that I've jumped on. They're nothing. As I said, I'm not a professional. I'm not going to say any of these won. I think I've won one bet since the season started, and that was the very first game of round one. So if you're jumping on these, it's just for a bit of fun. We can write them together. But yeah, I'm no master at this whatsoever. So yeah, do not blame me if you do jump on this, if you do choose to do that, and they don't get up. Tough gig. We're both down together. Don't come and blame me. But yeah, that's sort of just the bets I've got for this one. In terms of just an anytime try score, I missed that for the first game, but I'll jump on it now. If I wasn't doing Jack Bird, who, as I said, I've got in the multi, I love Jaden Sewer, again, as value. Someone I've just been so impressed with so far this season and in the preseason. I don't mind him as an anytime try scorer. He'll have a bit of value to him as well as a second rower. They don't cross too much, so I don't mind Jaden Sewer. If you jump on that and it gets up, lucky us. But for the Dolphins, I suppose I don't mind Jake Averillo as an option to score in his debut. I also don't mind Farnworth. He scored twice in the trials, in both games of the trials, and then didn't score last week, I believe. So he might get across for the Dolphins and open his account for them this year. But yeah, that sort of wraps us up here, guys. Already rambled on for a lot longer than I thought I was going to, at that 18-minute mark already. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning into this one. Once again, I'll plug the Instagram. If you're not following me there, please come and do so. As I said, you can just interact with me more. If you choose to jump on these bets and you want to ride them and chat away with me, that's the place to do it, at Chip and Chase Podcast. I've got a bit of a plan and a schedule in place now for the content I'm going to put on the Instagram. So keep an eye out for that. It'll start coming a bit more consistently, hopefully, fingers crossed. Yeah, just definitely give that a follow. But thank you guys for tuning into this one, and I will see you guys next time.